Hello, darlings, and welcome back to another episode. Today is very exciting because after 3 years of having this van, I am finally going to do a van tour. I've been waiting and waiting for the van to be perfect, and I finally realized that that's just never going to happen. So I'm just going to show you what I got. There are, of course, always things that need to be done, but it is pretty awesome the way it is. So we're going to start with a quick tour of the outside and then move inside. This is a standard Mercedes Sprinter 144-inch wheelbase. It has got the high roof and it is a 4-cylinder diesel engine. Over here, I've changed out the stock tires. They now have Wrangler Duratrax Goodyear tires with a nice big tread on it, which is nice and beefy for those back roads. I haven't done much with the front, but I do hope to have a light bar at some point. Haven't made it there yet. Over on this side, we have the fuel tank. You will see I did add a couple windows on the sides at the front, and these are sliding windows that allow for a nice air circulation. Can be open while you drive, and they do lock and have a screen inside. Below the window, underneath the van, we have the undermount 12-liter propane tank for the stove. On this end, we have the Shore Power plug-in, which is a 30 amp, 125 volt plug. So if you're at a campground, you can plug into that to charge your batteries. Up on the top, you can see I've got 2 solar panels. They are 160 watt each. And then in the front of the van, there's a max air fan. And in the rear, there is a skylight over the bed. Coming behind, one thing I did have added was the hitch down here so we can hook up our trailer or our boat. I will show you the garage. Right now it is full of all the gear that we might possibly need. However, on this side is the water system. So there is a 16-gallon water tank. There is a Bosch hot water heater. There is an outdoor shower, which can be hooked up here. There is the water fill-up here. There is ample storage in the back. And then on the left side here, we have the electrics. We have 2 100 amp hour lithium ion batteries tucked in there. We also have the fuse box, the charge control, and the inverter. I think it's a 1,800 watt inverter, but I'll check on that. And then hanging right here, we have our laundry basket. I've also installed this sort of sheer curtain, which gives the inside cozy vibes and also keeps the bugs out when the back door is open. Up top here, we have the reverse cam, which I actually hate because it points down instead of out. So if there was an upgrade to be done in the future, I would probably get one that faces out. All right, coming along this side, we have our sliding door as well as another motion window in the sliding door, and we have the newly installed bug net. Now, I'm not going to lift the screen window completely because it is a little buggy out, but I did want to point out a couple exterior features. So when there are no bugs, so you don't need the screen door down and you have the sliding door open, there is a little outdoor folding table. This comes down and you can serve drinks and refreshments at this location. I really didn't want a wire holding the table down, so my builder put in these little supports that magnet in place. Also, down here, there is a little cubby that is where the quick connect hose is if you want to spray off the dog's feet or if you want to rinse off without setting up the outdoor shower in the back. There is the step in. There's also a handle there for ease of getting into the van. And we have a vinyl plank floor, which is waterproof. But before we go into the interior of the van, we'll check out the cab. So up in the captain's seat here, not much has changed. This is pretty stock, and I would say this is the lower end of the Mercedes line. Definitely was a cargo van. Everything's very straightforward. There's nothing too fancy. Up here on top, I've got my little pre-departure checklist, which I refer to, so I can make sure that I've gotten everything done before I leave. I've also got my little logbook up here of all my trips. As we move along over here, I've got some storage, got my little medicine bag up here. Down here, I've got my little travel buddies for when I'm on my own. There's John and Stanley. And then over here in the passenger seat, got my little rock and crystal garden with some items that I've collected along my travels. And it also adds a decorative element. All my manuals are up in this compartment here, which is great. So they're nice and handy if I need to problem solve some component of the van. The seat that you're sitting in is a swivel seat, so that spins around and adds to extra living space in the back of the van. Because the passenger seat is a little bit raised up because of the swivel, I find that when I'm the passenger, and I'm a little on the short side, that my feet are dangling. So I added this little step so that my feet can rest on something. Now I know why you're all really here, which is to check out the rear of the van, so we will do that now. Okay, so we're going to start making our way back into the main living area of the van. So you can see across from me, there is the sliding door. So here is our passenger seat. You can see on the back, there is a little storage compartment that has various items. And then down by the door here is our little basket that holds some shoes, Stanley's collapsible dog bowl, and a leash. Also right at the entrance area, we also have the mat, which you can wipe your feet or your shoes off as you're coming in. And we also have the little garbage bin right beside the door. That's really handy for emptying. Right here we have the flip-up counter, which is nice for extending the counters a little bit. Underneath the flip-up countertop, you can see that there is a plug-in. There is a timer for the hot water heater, as well as the switches for the interior lights, which are on dimmers. Down here is my carbon monoxide and propane gas alarm. Safety first. Up top is our headliner shelf, which actually goes quite deep in and has a ton of storage. At the very back are our insulated window coverings for the front windshield and the passenger and driver windows, as well as the side windows. Since I installed, however, this insulated curtain, I find that we don't really use the front window covers anymore. Although I suppose if it was -20, we'd put them in. Here is the front section curtained off with the thermal curtain, which is really handy if you need to run into a store for a couple minutes. It really keeps the heat up front and keeps the back nice and cool, especially when the fan is going and the windows are open. And that way Stanley can keep nice and cool in the back. It also has a blackout effect and keeps out the light when you are trying to sleep. In addition to the window covers, up here we have various storage baskets. Got our bear spray and bear bangers, toilet paper, paper towel, towels, a speaker, our first aid kit, as well as a basket with underwear, socks, that sort of thing. Things that are nice and handy when you're getting dressed. So we are now going to transform this area from driving mode into dining and hanging out mode. So in order to do that, we are going to Move the passenger seat all the way forward and then flip the switch to turn it around. And then we have the front passenger seat, which is on the swivel. We don't have a swivel on the front seat, but we do move this forward to kind of give more space. And then here is our tabletop. So this is on a lagoon mount, and you can see that the post is right here. We usually just move that back to give a little more room. And then this just goes on like so. And you have dining for two. We've actually seated more at this table because we have some little folding stools that we can put there. So this is our dining area. It's our chill out space. And then we can easily take this off. And normally when we are traveling, the table is stored in between the driver's seat and this bench seat over here. So what I love about this lagoon table mount is that it can swivel and turn all around, which adds to an ease of movement inside the van. And it can also raise up and raise down. And it can easily slide out when you're not using it. Another thing that you can do is get up and you can move this in and you can just tuck this in. You can also raise this up and then it becomes some extra table space when you are using the stove. All right, so we are now entering the kitchen. I already mentioned the extendable countertop. Our countertop is made out of butcher block. And then here we have our 12-volt fridge. I believe it's 125 liter. There's not much in it except for beverages at the moment because we're a bit in between trips. But this holds tons of items, and it even has a little freezer, which isn't good for much, but we can make ice. And then moving along the countertop, we have our sink, which you might have noticed is sort of got a Mexican vibe going on here. I actually brought this sink back from Mexico and I absolutely love it. I got this sink before I knew that I was building a van. I knew that I would use it one day, either in a van or a tiny house. So I absolutely love this sink. And I also brought back the Mexican tiles, which are on the backsplash on this side and then over here by the stove. So it just adds a little pop of color and vibrancy, and it might be one of my favorite parts about the van. All right, we have got the regular faucet with hot and cold water. This pulls out. It also has a spray function. We also have the filtered water faucet right here. We've got keep the dish soap tucked in back here, as well as a little silicone mat for, scrubbies, the plug, hand soap, that sort of thing. Up here we have a little basket that we keep veggies and fruit in that don't need refrigeration. And then right above it is our control to our S-Bar diesel heater. And the diesel heater is fabulous. It's just tapped into our diesel tank, so we don't have to fill a separate tank. The vent for it is right underneath the passenger seat. Now you might be thinking that this sink is much too small to wash any dishes in, and you wouldn't be wrong. This sink is more used for washing up, quick things, brushing our teeth, that sort of thing. And when it comes to doing our actual dishes, we have a white plastic bin that we fill up, sort of like a camping style basin, and we do our dishes, we rinse them, and then we let them dry on our dry rack. Moving along now, right here is the switch to the water pump. So anytime we need water, we flick that on. This cupboard here is sort of random. It's very narrow and it's not optimized for storage. So right now there's just a couple bags of dry goods that are shoved in. I would eventually like to have a pull-out pantry here. On this side, we have everything we need for the water system. So there is the drain pipe, there are double duty bags, there is our water filter, our fire extinguisher. At the back, we have our fixed bed. It is a double, so it can be a little cozy, but that's okay. We also have these sort of faux bump outs on each end, which add a couple inches of extra space. I should mention that we do sleep side to side, and we have a total sleeping length of 5 feet 10 inches. Thank goodness neither of us are very tall. Up above, we have reading lights, and we have a bookshelf. Over there in the corner, there is a 12-volt plug for charging phones, that sort of thing. Scanning around to the back, we've got a little macrame art piece, the sheer curtains, which sort of add to the coziness. Up top, we've got puck lights that are on dimmers. And then one of my favorite parts of the van is the skylight, which opens to allow fresh air to come in. And then it also has a screen and a blind. So when it's open, you can close the screen so the bugs don't come flying in. Or if you want blackout, you can close the blind and you can sleep in darkness. At the end of the bed, you can see that we have a Sirocco fan. It's a 360-degree swivel fan. This is 12-volt fan with 3 speeds, and this just helps with the airflow in here on those hot, muggy days. Welcome to the bedroom. As you can see, we're up quite high. However, there is still plenty of room for me to sit up without my head bonking the ceiling. Over here on this side, we have upper cabinets the whole length of the van. Back here in this rear cabinet are things that we don't need to access on a regular basis. In this compartment here is where I keep most of my clothes. Over at the foot of the bed, there are a couple hidden control panels. We have the panel which shows what our battery life is. Here we have the button for turning on the converter when we want to use our regular plugins. And then here we have the holder for the MaxxAir fan, which is easily accessible whether we're in bed or not. Okay, so before we move out of the bedroom area, I will just point out that we have this lovely cedar unfinished roof, which just gives a lovely aesthetic to the van. And if you haven't noticed, we subscribe, or at least I do, to the 2-duvet system. And so that means John and I each have our own duvet, and they are single duvets. And what's lovely about that is that we don't have duvets hanging over the edge here and potentially getting wet or getting in the way. So I really like this, and then we can't steal the blankets from each other. Not that I would ever do that. Underneath the bed, we have a drawer, and this drawer is the continuation of our kitchen. So we have our cutlery drawer with many of our utensils, and then all of our spices. So this is really handy. And that just closes up. And then underneath this drawer is Stanley's dog bedroom. So here you can see Stanley tucked away in his own little space. You can see he's got plenty of room. He's got lots of headroom. He's got lots of space for laying around. And he's also got space for his food dishes. And he's very comfortable here. He likes having his own space, and it's nice because if he's in the way or if we need to maneuver around him, we can send him, Stanley, hey, what are you doing? You're on TV. Hey, Stanley! A little decency, please. In any case, he's got his own little space where he clearly feels very comfortable. Do you like your little bed? Yeah?
Yes, Mom. Yes, I do.
So just to give you a bit of a close-up to Stanley's dog area, you'll notice that this here is actually a partition. It slides into these little rails here, which holds that in place. So that can actually be removed if you need this back area for more storage, or if you don't have the dog traveling with you, or if, say, you need to haul some 2x4s. To the left of Stanley's dog bed area is our folding tripod toilet, our wash basin, and dish rack. And then on this side is our battery compartment. All right, so carrying along here, this is another upper cupboard which has toiletries. It's got a charging compartment in here, so very versatile and handy. And then in here is our closet. So we have some stickers, we have a mirror, and then for the closet, because it's not as deep as a regular closet would be, it pulls out and then you can access your hanging items on this rail here. We also keep our broom in here. And then below the closet is our porta potty drawer. And you might notice that the closet is sort of stepped in and the porta potty drawer sticks out a little bit. This was designed purposely so that you would have a handy dandy step up to the bed. So getting up onto the bed is really easy. You just step up here and you can pop up and you're in bed. And then getting down, same thing, you step down, and it's very convenient, it's very safe, and it's very sturdy. In this drawer down here, we have our porta potty drawer. As I've mentioned in previous videos, we use a porta potty for number ones only, but this is a Dometic porta potty or cassette toilet, and so you do your business. You lift this, you don't have to take this out of the drawer, you can sit directly on it, and the drawer slides are enough to hold, I think, 500 pounds, so you can do your business, and then when you're done, in this little cutout here, you can open that up to drain it. And then also in this drawer, we keep extra toilet paper, our little portable vacuum cleaner, and our porta potty deodorizer. So continuing on the driver's side of the van, we've got 3 more upper cabinets. I also wanted to mention that all of our latches are 5 Oceans push button latches. These latches are extremely sturdy and secure. They're made for boats, and we have never had a cabinet come flying open. So this one here has all of our coffee making equipment. There's teas, salt and pepper, things that we use regularly. Over in this one here, we've got cups and glasses and storage containers. And then in this one over here, we have our, some chips. We've got our plates and bowls, that sort of thing. Here we have our stove. So before I talk about the stove, I'll point out that we've got this little magnetic knife rack. Turns out we don't use this much. It's more for magnets now. There's also a switch for some under cabinet lighting as well. There is a plug-in here. Again, we've got the lovely Mexican tiles. And then you'll notice that we have a cover over the stove. So I asked my builder to build this cover because the stove did not come with one, and I wanted to have some extra, surface space to put things on. So this just comes off quickly, and generally what I do with this is I just put it over on the bed, and then when I'm cooking, I've got this. Sometimes I have the table set up here, so I've got extra counter space. I've got counter space behind me, and then I can even use and set things up on the bed. So this has been super handy. I really like this. So here we have a 3-burner propane stove. The brand is Suburban. It works perfectly fine. It's even got, oh, I was wondering where this was. It's even got a little oven compartment. Don't worry, I wouldn't have turned the propane on by accident because you need to light the pilot light, which requires going into the oven before turning it on. So yeah, this little oven has been pretty good. Haven't used it quite as often as I thought I would. So that begs the question, was it really necessary to have? But I'm glad I have it overall. Underneath the stove is a very large drawer which contains everything we need for cooking and food preparation.
There are pots and pans, frying pans, a kettle, strainers, bowls, loaf pans, cutting boards, silicone mats, a toaster, aluminum foil, parchment paper, plastic wrap, lids.
There's basically anything you might ever need. Moving along, we have again the window here with the sliding opening. So that's really nice for airflow, especially when you're cooking, to have this right by the stove. Often we turn the max air fan on the ceiling, and then we open a window, and then that helps exhaust all the heat from your cooking and also all the condensation from your cooking. And then, you know, if you want to open your own food truck, you just slide this open, you got a serving window right there. Just kidding, we won't do that, not yet. So we've also got some little faux plants, adding some greenery to the place. And then we have got the little bench seat here. Underneath the bench seat, we have another drawer, and this is mostly food storage. In addition, we've got a little bullet blender if we're feeling like a smoothie, and a little mini waffle iron, and some other things in there. You'll notice that this bench seat here is positioned. Now, it was positioned strategically in this location so that the person sitting on it could sit and look out at the view when the sliding door is open. However, it is not just a chair. It has other functions as well. So obviously, when you have a very small space, you want to ensure that things can serve many different functions. So not only is this chair a nice bench seat for admiring the views and a storage drawer, but it has some other purposes as well. So I'm going to remove this, put this up here for now. This chair actually hinges over, and this now becomes, in essence, a chaise. So it is a long, extended sort of seat where people can relax. You can put this back down here if you like. And then another function of this area is our guest bed. So in order to make this a guest bed, we have this foldable little camp table, which opens up. We can use this outside. We can use it between the seats up at the front when we're driving. And we can also use it as the extension to our bed. So we put the legs in, and then you'll notice we have 2 levels here. That's because this part here goes on the floor, and then these legs rest into the step as you're coming in the van. So then you just flip this over like so, and you put that down in there. And then we have a very thick 4-inch foamy that extends the length of this area. Obviously, you would use this with the sliding door closed, so then also the table could rest up against the door. And you can also remove this post so the person sleeping has a bit more room. And you've got a small and compact, yet efficient and comfortable guest bed. I mean, let's be real. You don't want your guests to be too comfortable. So yes, that is the many ways that this piece of furniture can be used. Down here, behind the driver's seat, there is our recycling container, and behind this curtain, there is another plug-in and receptacle for 12-volt charging. When it's time to hit the road and you want the table secured, we just slide it in also behind the driver's seat and secure it to the post with a bungee cord. That way it does not rattle around. Thank you for coming along on my van tour with me. If you have any questions about any aspects of the build, please let me know and I'll do my best to answer them. You know, I've had this van for 3 years now and I could not be happier with it. There were a few little kinks to work out, but I have to say that it has surpassed all expectations, and having this rig is allowed me to do many things and, you know, live my dreams. So I couldn't be any happier about it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe if you like this video, and click that notification bell so you'll know when future videos are released. Thank you. Bye. Stanley, get up, up. Let's go for a ride. Let's go for a ride. Get up there. Get up there. Good boy. You ready? Are you ready?
One take Tara.